Maybe I was more patient with it when I was like starstruck. And now I'm expecting it to just like bam, 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 bam. Like, come on, you're taking too long. Welcome,
Yeah.
everybody, to the DevOps Roundup.
Hey, thank you, Alex. For the folks just joining us, I'm Sean Doyle. This is my co-host, Alex Ortiz. And
And Minion.
Minion. No, I don't like Minion. Stooge, is Stooge better than Minion?
But yeah, we've been playing around with Antigravity for a better part of what I think
At least a month, maybe a little longer than a month.
I'm gonna say 6 weeks maybe. And we have some opinions, some thoughts, and we wanted to share them with you because we've already done the 1 week in, and I think we were still in our honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
So Sean, you've been using it a lot more than me. So why don't you go? I think I'm still more optimistic than you, but let's hear from you first.
Well, I've been using it a lot more, and I think I am reinforcing my initial opinion after the first week that I'm thrilled at what it's able to do on the first pass. As soon as you start iterating and asking it to do more on a particular application, the tougher it gets to not break things. I don't know. I think I've probably created about 12 different things. So, about a dozen. Once you get to the point where it's working, leave it alone and move on to the next app. When you go back and ask it, say, hey, I really like this app. I want to add these functionality or this new functionality. Give it a nice long list of things to do, a requirements document. And then it goes off and breaks the original functionality that the app had to add the new stuff. And then sometimes you fight with it saying, hey, you're not producing the right results. And then it says, yes, I am. And back and forth.
So my experience has still been fairly positive. I was just with my tax guy this week or past weekend. And he's been asking me for like an application for a while now. Like he wants to build something a little bit more custom. And I'm like, you know what? You do it. Why don't you type in? And he literally typed in the most vague 2 sentences you could possibly do, and out came an application that he was like, holy cow, this is not bad.
Well, that's good. Like I said, every time I ask it to do something, the first iteration, it does a pretty damn good job. But I try to keep my first iterations to just the basic functionality. Just your VIP type stuff, and it's iterating past that where it gets lost.
See, I haven't experimented that deeply where I'm having to iterate and iterate and iterate. Mine have, maybe your prompting just sucks, Sean, because I prompted it pretty well, and
maybe it is my prompting that needs to get better. But I tell it to refer to documents that I've already had and some of the documents that it generated, and so every time I prompt, I'm like, okay, going back to basics, you need to follow these rules. These are the requirements. This is the new requirements, and go forward. And it seems to ignore half of that. But ultimately, it's frustrating arguing with the AI. But ultimately, I get to a point where I'm fairly happy with something. So this here, I started yesterday morning. And I've probably got maybe 4 hours total into this. So this got prompted by, we're reviewing budgets for the next fiscal year, which is coming up in a couple months. And one of the big budget items was a lot of the website tools that we use for stats and things like that are going way up. They're becoming very costly, and all they really are doing is reviewing our website logs, which is something I used to do manually before. So I'm like, I'll just have AI do it. And it created this page. This is not the first iteration. This is after about 4 hours of iterations back and
That's your
forth.
problem. You go deep.
Yeah. And so let's see if I can update this live. Yeah. So one of the bugs, I don't know if you caught that, but it was claiming I had log files that went back to 2024. I don't.
Like I go back to the 90s.
Yeah. I really wish I had log files that went back, but the hosting company for our website only retains things for 30 days. So doing it this way, I'll be able to retain things indefinitely until I decide to clean it up. But this is fairly close to what you'll see from like a Google Analytics, which we're not getting rid of Google Analytics, but only 1 or 2 people in the company have access to it. This is something I can give everyone access to. But it basically is telling us, for this particular domain, who's hitting our site, what pages they're hitting, what are the sources, some of the referrals, the top entry pages, any security threats that are on our site. And then I can drill down and get more information on any particular thing. And some of them are live, some of them is cached. So not bad for 4 hours of my time. I could not have programmed this in 4 hours.
Right. There's a trade-off in that analysis that you have to do, right? Because like I told you with my tax guy, we've been working on this for the better part of 4 years. And every year it's like, oh, when I have time. And I'm like, I just don't have the mental capacity to do that endeavor that is coding an application from nothing. And we now have, even if it wasn't perfect, which by the way, it was like 90% there for me. Like now we have something to work off of.
Now you have a framework. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm still very bullish on anti-gravity.
Yeah, I guess I am too. It's just a little frustrating that it does obvious mistakes. So it's I guess it's like working with a child. You don't want to yell and scream at the child when it gets things wrong. You want to encourage it and encourage them and bring them along. But yeah, when you see them making the same mistake over and over again, and every time you ask it, oh, I want to add this one feature, it breaks something. And then you're like, okay, please don't do that. And then you'll get a couple of iterations where finally it fixes it. But I am impressed that once this project became a little more complex, that it suggested that, hey, I see you're using GitLab in the background. I'm like, yeah, that, you're sharp there. You caught that. Let's set this up in a GitLab CI runner. And I'm like, yep, perfect. Go ahead and create the YAML file for me. And it went ahead and did it. And so now every time it makes a change, it runs the pipeline and promotes the code up to the website and all that. So.
But you definitely take it to the next level then, right? Because like the whole CI/CD part, I don't think most people are even thinking that far out, right? Like a lot of people are still stuck in like, hey, can we build this custom little app? But now you're talking about like the full deployment of it, maintainability of it.
Oh yeah, because what I shared on the screen here, this is running up in AWS. So I basically told it I have a credentials file in my little secrets vault, and I said, this is my the keys to my AWS account. Go ahead and set up a free instance and deploy this and all the dependencies. So it installed Python, it installed Postgres, and a number of other little things to include Apache. Actually, I don't think it's using Apache. It's using some light web server. I think it's like something unicorn. I let it choose. I didn't recognize that particular web server, but it seems to be working fine. But yeah, it's running a full CI/CD pipeline. I have to probably my next steps after adding a bit more functionality to this is to have it run some security tests and some SAS and DAS code each time the pipeline runs, which it's not doing that now. That might solve problems with it, randomly breaking things. But I'm not quite to that point.
Have you tried running the same prompts across like Codex,
No.
Code, and
Gemini? Yes, I have. I thought you meant like outside Antigravity, but I am running out of tokens.
No, I did mean outside of Antigravity, like going through Codex.
Oh, okay. No, I have not done that yet.
That's one thing I think we should do in a future episode is compare head to head,
Yeah.
head to head, the Codex, Antigravity, and Code. And maybe even Robo Dev, because I hear that one's supposed to be good. I'm not sure how convinced I am. One of the big changes here, though, with Antigravity that I think I've been seeing is it's gotten slower, in my opinion.
Slower?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like maybe I was more patient with it when I was like starstruck. And now I'm expecting it to just like bam, 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 bam. Like, come on, you're taking too long.
No, but I did notice. So I had no problem with it yesterday, and I don't think I noticed a slowdown. But this morning when I told it to review where we left off and let's continue with this project, it initially told me that things are a little busy right now. Try again later, or something like that. And I'm like, no, I want to work now. But yeah, what I thought you meant was, the different models. And,
no, the other observation, and my worry really is not even an observation, more like a worry, is that I end up doing a lot of local host stuff, a lot of servers, and I don't know those suckers are still running on my computer because I never shut down my computer.
I usually start with doing things on localhost, and then once I get something that I like, I say, okay, now spin this up in AWS.
Yeah, but I just never know if like Antigravity is still running or like.
Well,
I don't
know
what's going on back there, and I can't
with
see.
OpenClaw.
Sorry,
I remember we were playing with OpenClaw. At least I was, and we kind of did a part of a podcast on it, or one episode. It took a lot of time to get rid of OpenClaw on my my workstation.
Didn't you not see all the recommendations to not put OpenClaw on your
yes. But yeah, it has a lot of little running parts that there's no uninstall for OpenClaw. You have to go track down everything. And I had something that kept trying to update a screensaver that I didn't realize I was using, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't using, but it turned out that OpenClaw was trying to update that screensaver, which I'm like, well, that makes no sense. What are you doing? And my malware detection kept flagging that, and I kept saying, okay, quarantine, and so then I finally had to rip it out manually. And I think I got all the parts gone now, but it might be worth building a new PC from scratch and starting over.
I think so too. That's why. Don't try to buy the Mac Mini though, because that one's out of stock for the next foreseeable future.
Maybe that's my next AI project, is having it create a cleanup tool. I don't know if you remember. Oh, you're not as big of a PC guy as I am, but do you remember there used to be a tool called TuneUp PC?
Yeah, wasn't that malware?
Well, I hope it wasn't, but it would go through and make sure that your registry was fine and there was no malicious things, and it did things like defrag your disk. Maybe I should create something like that via AI vibe coding, and see how much it trashes my computer.
You know what? Another interesting thing that that Antigravity started doing that we didn't discover our very first episode, other than the fact that, again, it's running all those local host servers, and I have no idea if they're still running because I never shut down my computer. But that aside, it does a lot more computer controlling to learn.
Okay. Yeah.
So remember this thing that I was telling you with my tax guy?
Yeah.
So he gave it a very simple and very, very vague requirement, right? He was just like, hey, I need a website that basically so his requirement is, and this is a simple website that he had needed to be done. He wants an iOS app and an Android app, for that matter, that a user can install, specifically his customers. And he wants it so that a customer can go through the app and get the status of their tax refunds.
Okay.
Right. Figure out where their tax refund is at. Because apparently, if you go to the IRS website, you get the federal, and then your state representative or your state website will have a state one for you. And so he built the first website. And so just with this 2-sentence command that was super vague, it ended up building a nice little web app that had federal and state. But the state wasn't working. So I jumped in as a second iteration, and I told it, go to their web, because he, on his website today, he already has a section for your state, and you pick your state, and then it'll kind of figure it out. Okay. So I went, go to this website, go to this particular URL, scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see all the states. Get it for all 50 states. And so it took control of my computer and went to the website. And you see, because it opens up a browser, and you see it going. Yeah. And it's clicking on every single link for me, and then it's learning, and then it's building its database and its registry, because once it was all said and done, then the actual website was there with all the things. But it was physically going into every single website and getting the information. But you could see the mouse moving and interacting and stuff. So it was very trippy. I don't remember us seeing that in our first run. Have you seen that kind of behavior?
Yeah, I have seen that, and most recently with the app that I'm working on right now. There's been times where it has destroyed the Postgres database during an update, and it says, okay, I'm done. And I go to the website, and there's no data. The website forms are there, and all the squares and everything looks really nice, but no data is being presented. And so I grab a screenshot. I'm like, yeah, you're lying to me. There's nothing there. And so then it launches a browser, and then it basically walks through going. It won't enter a password, but everything else it goes through and clicks on buttons and stuff like that. So I'm like, this is fairly slick. I guess I don't hate it, but I am a little distrustful of it. But yeah, that. I think the first time I saw that was late last week.
But the reason that I'm bringing it up is because this is an interesting phenomenon where we're entering an interesting period of AI where you have basically 3 approaches to getting data, in my opinion. You can do the hard way, which is AI clicking through the computer for you. Yeah. Which makes me also wonder, what does the future of UI UX look like from a web application, SaaS application stuff? We then have APIs, because if you remember the first time that you and I built that website, I gave it an API token to talk to Jira and be able to add stuff to Jira, because I sat down with our buddy Josh, and it logged into Jira, and it was clicking on the create button, and it was filling out the summary. I'm like, no, don't do this crap.
No, we don't need to see this. Just do it.
We don't need to see this. Just use the API. So I was like, well, give me an API key. So I gave it an API key. But then you can take it a step further with MCP servers. And so I would assume that there's going to be a future where it's just MCP to MCP, and it's just all MCPing.
Oh yeah, most likely. I don't know. I am also indifferent on the MCP, and I'm sure people will point this out in the comments. But some of these MPC servers are not necessarily very helpful. Like if you have an MPC server that fronts a whole bunch of things and it actually, secures things for you or cleans things, I'm okay with them. But if it's just an MPC server just to be, gatekeeping the information or maybe throwing a paywall up, I'm not a big fan of MCP servers for the sake of MPC servers.
No, because there's value to the MCP servers. There's a security aspect that I think is going to be really interesting.
That's the aspect I'm in favor of.
But there's also the ease of the utilization. Like, companies get to choose how they want servers to interact with them. Like, you have a little bit more control. Like, you as a corporation, I guess you have the same thing with your APIs as well, but you as a company have a little bit more control as to what.
It's a buffer between your actual API and what an AI agent's coming for.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like it. I would rather MCP and go that route, but not every company is supporting this stuff right now. So I would say, and if you're reading this or watching this or listening to this, like, get your head into the MCP route, because it's coming. We'll have to see what your experiences are with MCP in the future.
Yeah, I haven't really done a lot with them yet, but maybe I should for the next couple weeks and then report back in a month.
MCPs now and then, or now and later.
Yeah, so I'm still enjoying Antigravity. I have been reading a lot about everything else is better than Antigravity. You shouldn't be using Antigravity, especially on Reddit. And until recently, everyone's been suggesting that I should be using Claude. I don't think they're leaking the source code, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, makes using Claude better or worse. But I'm a little more hesitant to try jumping over to it.
Well, that's why you got Nemo Claude now.
Yeah.
Have you tried that one yet?
No, I have not.
I don't know if it's actually available now. Try it now. It's on GitHub. Yeah, no, it's there.
Okay. Well, I will add it to my list of
NVIDIA's Nemo Claude. Deploy more secure, always-on AI assistance with a single command. And that's what they... So you run a single command, which is literally a curl command, and that's it.
Okay.
There's no fiddling around. And if you have an agent, you just tell it, help me install nvidia.com/Nemo Claude.
Yeah. So that's more of competing with OpenClaw, right?
Well,
that's not necessarily Antigravity.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be more on the OpenClaw side of the house. We may have to make a special episode just for OpenClaw, or go back to OpenClaw again, or Nemo Claude.
Well, I did build a completely new system, a Linux-based system that's right here over my shoulder, that I feel comfortable reattempting OpenClaw, because it's not my main.
The Nemo Claw is supposed to solve every problem that OpenClaw has.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll see if I can get that up and running over the next week or so.
Yeah, it says OpenClaw runs claws more safely. OpenClaw has become the operating system for personal AI. Nemo Claw adds security and privacy controls so developers can build and run AI assistants with more confidence.
I had some hope for OpenClaw to clean up my email, since I have almost 1 million unopened emails in my inbox.
Yeah, no, I mean, this stuff's supposed to be better. I'm going to try it. I just got a brand new computer with a RTX card in it, so I'm going to try it with the 5080 and see what it can do.
Yeah.
It's optimized for 5080.
Oh, is it?
Nemo Claw.
Okay, yeah. So I just pulled an old laptop out of storage, and it was running Windows 10, and I just blasted it and put Ubuntu on it, whatever the latest version of Ubuntu is. So maybe it doesn't have the horsepower for it, but I'm hoping it does.
Vroom, vroom. All right. Well, folks, you heard it here first. Sean's got his mixed emotions. I think I'm still honeymooning, but I don't go as deep as you do. Let us know in the comment section what are your reactions now that we're so many weeks into, a couple months into
Yeah,
Antigravity.
what do you want to see us try to be dangerous on?
I think we need to do a head-to-head, all three prompts, Codex from OpenAI, Cloud Code, Antigravity, and then maybe even get RoboDev and see the three of them.
Ooh, do you think that the RoboDev stands a chance against any of those?
I've heard from internal sources that the inference models of RoboDev are significantly better than any of those that we see in Robo today.
Are they biased? Are your sources biased?
No, they're not.
Okay.
All right, folks, hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, everyone.